right, 16 locations open for Mississippi Ag, powered by agup.com. That's where you can find your next John Deere tractor and John Deere lawnmower. 16 locations. Mississippi Ag. Closest one to us right now, the one in Canton, not but a few miles up the road on the west side of I-55. Mississippi Ag for your next John Deere lawnmower, John Deere tractor. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Mudbugs, best crawfish in Mississippi. Stop by, grab a sack or two of crawfish, enjoy yourself this afternoon on the porch or patio or deck, and get ready for the NFL draft with Mudbugs, crawfish, and shrimp, 2 locations in Brandon, Rankin County. Welcome in, welcome in. NFL draft tomorrow, and the buzz at LSU is good grief. National title, they're going to have the number 1 pick in the draft. It just keeps Coach of the Year. It just keeps going. We welcome in Jordy Culotta, ESPN Baton Rouge. Jordy joins us on the Miller Lite guest line. Jordy, good morning. How are you?
Oh, good to be back, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Describe the describe the high and the buzz around what's going to happen tomorrow night with the celebrated Joe Burrow going number 1 to the Bengals. Jordy.
Well, I think it will end months of talk and speculation on Burrow's landing spot, and it'll be this part of the process closed up, and I think that's what LSU was looking forward to with the pro day and celebrating these draft picks was going to be the final time that you could have that group together again, and Ojerman was going to go to Vegas and experience the draft and be alongside all of his guys. But
I didn't think about that, Jordy. I did not think about that.
I mean, they were going to use this week as a total, kind of stage of promotion for LSU football with all of the players that were going to be there. And I think Ojerman was going to sit in on the desk of NFL Network as an analyst for a couple of picks of round 1. And either way, I think LSU is still going to win the night. I mean,
sure.
They'll get a ton of love. I mean, I saw a tweet where Daniel Jeremiah tweeted out, if you want draft strategy this year as an NFL GM, just choose one of LSU's players that are in it. So, I mean, there's love everywhere for the program, and it'll all be kind of the centerpiece of it will be Burrow coming off the board first.
How many players, I mean, give or take, how many players are supposed to go from LSU, Jordy?
I think I can say confidently. We did this earlier this week. I say with confidence that 13 will be drafted.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that there's a true possibility that 15 could be drafted. And then when you extend out to free agents and guys that'll get shots at camp, I see 18 people that potentially could be on NFL rosters next year on opening day that were on this team. So it's going to be a huge dump. I mean, just a huge turnover of players when you look at what they're losing over the next 3 days with guys that'll get opportunities.
That is incredible. Up to 18 counting drafted and free agent LSU players coming off the national championship and the magical, remarkable season. Ed Ogeron's the toast of the college football world, and we have Jordy Culotta with ESPN Baton Rouge. He joins us on the Miller Lite guest line, and you're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone. How many, give or take, how many LSU players, give or take, are expected to go in the first round, Jordy?
Well, let's count them out. Burrow's going to go first, and I think when you look at the next guy, it's a discussion between K'Lavon Chaisson and Justin Jefferson. Both guys have skyrocketed up draft boards, and like we know, Bo, I mean, it really only takes one team, and I think that there's one team in the top 10 that's really in love with Chaisson. That's Jacksonville at 9. So if he gets past Jacksonville at 9, he may fall to Indianapolis, somewhere in the middle. But Jefferson and Chaisson should come off the board next. Justin Jefferson has had an incredible pre-draft process. He had a great junior season. He caught 19 touchdowns. He led the team in receptions. He broke an SEC record with receptions. he's as sure-handed of a guy that you'll find in the draft. So he'll go off the board there. And then you look at Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen has had another pre-draft process. I mean, he made his money on the national championship night when he chased down Travis Etienne, when he made that tackle on the screen from behind to save that touchdown. I mean, that was as many scouts and decision makers, and even Ogeron that's come on and talked about his catapult into the draft. They all recognize and go back to that play that he made on Etienne in the national championship. So people say that Baltimore is in love with him. So I mean, there's four right there: Christian Fulton, Grant Delpit, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, those are three names that I've heard are right there on the cusp of being first-round picks. And like we said, I mean, it only takes one team to fall in love. It's tough for me to think that Grant Delpit has tumbled as far as I've seen him in mock drafts. I think anybody that is doing their homework on Delpit will see that he was banged up and injured for the majority of his junior season. And once he was right, when he was playing close to healthy, he was as good a player as LSU had on the field. And then when you turn on his sophomore film, I mean, he was the best safety in college football. So, but I mean, you look at the four for sure with Burrow, Jefferson, Chasson, and Queen. Delpit, Christian Fulton, is a cornerback that is a first round talent, and then Clyde. I mean, I keep seeing people talk about Clyde as being the best back in the draft, but they're scared to put him number one on their list. But they're talking about the people that they're getting information from, and there's so much high on Clyde and what he can bring you, especially in the new age NFL where he can do it all, man. I mean, he's fast enough to run outside, he's strong enough to run inside, he's versatile enough to catch it. He puts a lot of emphasis on the pass protection aspect of it. He's really a complete football player, and he's a guy too that could back end into the first round. So, I mean, 4 for sure, potentially 6.
Wow. Jordy Culotta, ESPN Baton Rouge on the Miller Lite guest line. We're talking LSU, NFL draft tomorrow. You're excited. I'm excited. We're ready to roll, figuring out what you're going to cook and drink and get into the draft tomorrow, and how they'll Jordy just brought up a great point. And I don't know why, I just hadn't thought of it. I mean, I know they're doing the virtual draft, and Blake and I were talking about going to Vegas. But what a great opportunity for Ogeron just to be like the king of the night, because,
I mean, you put the LSU pin on the suit, go sit down on the NFL Network set for the entire first round, and you got 4 of your guys coming off the board where you can break them down, recruit to the nation about how great the season was, and talk about, see what happens when you come to LSU. You have a great experience, you win championships, and then you make a ton of money on draft night. I mean, it was set up. But look, it's not going to be all for naught. I mean, there will still be interactions with LSU football from a virtual standpoint, but that will still make. But it's I mean, they're not sitting on they're not sitting at the Bellagio TV set with Vegas as the backdrop with everybody there. I mean, it's not as powerful as it could be.
And is as you know, has gotten so much better with in front of the microphone, with the microphone in his hand. And when you're sitting up there with Rich Eisen and Daniel Jeremiah, and you're just going through player after player, you make a great point. It'll still be a wonderful night, great night for LSU, but could have been even better. Jordy Culotta, ESPN Baton Rouge, on the Miller Lite guest line. Blake Scott, you got something?
Yeah, Jordy. So I just went through the last basically decade of NFL drafts, and the Tigers have 6 picks in the top 10, and I'm going to add in OBJ, even though he was number 12. So real quick, going from most recent to 2010, number 5, Devin White, number 4, Leonard Fournette, pick 6, Jamal Adams, pick 12th, OBJ, pick 6, Barkevious Mingo, pick 6th, Morris Claiborne, pick 5th, Patrick Peterson. Of that list of 7 people, Joe Burrow will fall in what number in terms of best NFL career?
we had his quarterback coach on this morning, Jordan Palmer, who's the younger brother of Carson Palmer. And he's now a quarterback consultant and coach, and he's got guys, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the young group of quarterbacks he's got it. Sam Darnold. When he's talking about the mental approach to that position, because it's easy to get lost in the physical stuff. Burrow checks all the boxes, and everywhere he's been, and I think this is a great testament to not only a competitor, but especially a quarterback when you talk about that position and how tough it is in sports. I mean, we can agree it's probably the toughest position in sports is quarterback at the NFL level. But everywhere Burrow has been, when he got to Athens, the town of Athens, Ohio, they were habitual losers. Never were they ever winning at anything. When they started winning at the junior high level when he got there. They won like the 8th grade city championship with him as the quarterback. When he got to high school, his senior season, he got them to a state championship. They got beaten overtime. When he got to LSU, you know what he did to the culture and to the pedigree of the program when he got here. That type of stuff, when it's a pattern like that, when it's habits, it's him. He's going to bring that mentality. I asked Palmer this morning because, remember, his older brother Carson was the first pick by Cincinnati in 2004. Jordan was the backup quarterback in Cincinnati for 3 years of Carson's time as the number one quarterback. So he played in the franchise. I asked Jordan this morning, you've been there, your brother's been there as the number one pick. Does Joe Burrow want to go there? Don't speak for him. Does he want to be the number one pick? Does he want to go to that franchise? And he said, guys, that franchise and its reputation, it speaks for itself. But when you have a guy like Burrow come in, he has the ability to change the entire culture. People that were before were cheap or not spending money or not going the extra step to take the step to become a winning franchise. With a guy like that, he doesn't allow you to have that mentality. He'll almost bring in a different type of mindset and culture to the program. And he did it here in Baton Rouge. Not that he overhauled what Orgeron and those guys were trying to do and the culture he was trying to create and build, but Burrow fast-tracked it. I mean, Orgeron will tell you that directly. They were building the bricks. They were putting the bricks down. They were putting the work in of creating culture and changing the way they were recruiting and building a championship program. One guy like Burrow comes down and just fast-tracks it and gets it to a championship level in one season and really 2 years since he's been on campus. I think he has that same type of impact on an NFL team. I think that he's a franchise quarterback. You can build your program around him. He brings in winners. We had him on the show last Tuesday, and P-Bob asked him directly if he forced Cincinnati's hand at giving A.J. Green the franchise tag to see if he could play with Burrow for a season just to see what he had left. He kind of laughed it off, and he denied it, but, I mean, it almost sounded like it had a little silver lining of truth there. Like, he went in there and said, look, if you want me, make sure you got me talent. You know, like, because I'm coming in here and I'm trying to win day one. And he's going to take his lumps, and he's going to go through the hard knocks of the NFL. He's not going to experience anything, greater that any of these talented rookie guys have. But I think he's got it, and he's got what it takes to be, a franchise quarterback. Am I biased? You're damn right I am. But the more I hear from guys that have neutral feelings about it and have done this for a living, the more I feel secure in the feelings that I have about him, because he just has that mentality where he's not going to let whatever he's a part of be a failure or be a loser. So, those are some great names that you rattled off, and I think he'll be at the top of the list in a decade.
Jordy Culotta, ESPN Baton Rouge, talking LSU, NFL draft. Burrow will go 1 to the Bengals, and then it's going to be fun and interesting, especially with all the Tua talk. And he mentioned, another 4 or 5 players that could be drafted in the first round for the LSU Tigers. maybe 13 overall, 18 including free agents. One of them being Saahdiq Charles, who's from here. And what do you think, Saahdiq in the third round, somewhere in there, Jordy?
Yeah, I mean, I wish he'd have come back. I think he would have had an opportunity to be a first-round pick. I can't tell anybody from a personal standpoint on what decision to make about their life. They know it best in their situation. But I think from a potential standpoint, with the time that he missed in his junior season, in the games that he missed, I don't think that played well in the information gathering aspect from an NFL scout standpoint. LSU's got to give the real information on why he missed those games during his junior season. And while it's in-house to the public during the year, they've got to be forthright about that information when NFL scouts come around and ask what the problem was and why he was missing those non-conference games and, why he wasn't around and playing in every game with his teammates. But when he did play and when he was right, the national championship game especially, he shows you his talent. And when you turn on his sophomore film, he was a little up and down. His freshman film was solid. He is a big, strong athlete that has potential off the charts. I think that he could have made himself a significant amount more money on the front end of his career if he would have decided to come back and kind of, focus in on becoming a better player and a better student athlete. But he's too talented to stay away from, Bo. I mean, there's
Sure.
too much. There's just too much in that league. There's too many people that look at him and say, how first off, the importance in the position that he plays, the athleticism that he immediately adds to that position room on day one, and where you can get him. I think that the third is probably a little high. I think fourth or fifth is a little bit more reasonable, and wouldn't be surprised if I saw him slide to maybe even the middle of the fifth, early sixth, because of just some of the pre-draft process things. He would have been. He needed pro day.
Right.
He's an example of a guy that this, the pandemic and everything that shifted it around with the NFL draft could hurt. I think that teams would have liked to have sat down with him in his own facility in a spot where he's comfortable around all his people and just talk to him one-on-one, as well work him out. And they didn't get that. They didn't have that opportunity.
Sure.
And I think he's in next time we talk or next week when we evaluate the draft and where people fell, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. And I think if he goes later than what we anticipate, third to fifth, somewhere, if he's outside of that, I think he would be a great example to point out and say, you know what, he could have used pro day. He could have really used the opportunity of this part of going to meet with the teams, sit down, let them see him one-on-one, let them see his demeanor, let them see who, have you changed? Or what did you learn from missing those games last year? And why now should we trust when you weren't getting money and you weren't getting paid that you won't make the same issues or the same issues won't follow you when you have money in your checking account now? And they want to see how you're going to answer that question one-on-one. It's a job interview. They
Sure.
want to sit across the desk from you and see how you're going to handle it. And I think that he could have really benefited from that.
Jordy Culotta, ESPN Baton Rouge on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. When was I've got 30 seconds, Jordy. When was the last time you had Ogeron on?
We had him on Tuesday morning. We had him on yesterday.
Man.
Yesterday morning. And he was great. He was fantastic. He is. This is a great time for his program.
Sure.
As far as uneasy as the time is, he's really confident on the way that his staff is communicating to his team right now. So he feels real good about going into whatever college football season is going to look like.
Amazing. Hey, Jordy, thank you, man. We'll do this again soon. Appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. Thanks.
Jordy Culotta, ESPN Baton Rouge on Burrow and all the LSU players that will be drafted. Blake, I'd forgotten about that. I don't know why. The fact that Ed Ogeron was going to win the night after LSU fans have watched Nick Saban win the night at the draft and watch him float around the room and probably thrown up the whole time the last decade. And Ogeron was going to be the toast of the draft with Rich Eisen and Daniel Jeremiah on the NFL Network.
Ogeron's 1 year at the draft would have equaled all the last decade of Nick Saban at the draft for two reasons.
No question.
A, Joe Burrow's a bigger prospect in terms of excitement and relatability and just entertainment value than anybody. Who has Alabama put out in the last decade?
Most of Saban's guys were linemen, defensive players, or running backs. There was never
Amari
that buzzy buzz.
Amari Cooper didn't have any buzz because of how his makeup is. He's so quiet.
Right.
He's so inside himself.
Great player,
great
super
pro,
young man.
But he's not entertain. Like Burrow's going to give you quips. Burrow's a quarterback. He's got the charisma, the personality, hey, I can walk into a room and entertain everybody in here, whether you're a 4-year-old who's never seen a football, an 80-year-old who doesn't like football, or you're the diehard LSU fan.
Right.
That's who Joe Burrow is, and that with Ed Orgeron also more like that than Nick Saban, those two combined would have been so captivating, polarizing, enigmatic on the set for an hour.
And Ogeron's become more charismatic.
Oh, a million times over.
So he was going to own the night tomorrow night in Las Vegas.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. All right. Well, we're still going to watch it, and we're excited about it. And good grief, Peter King has Tua going to the Patriots, falling, and then a trade with the 49ers, and Tua eventually going 13th as the Patriots move up. John Ledyard, NFL draft guru, pewterreport.com, threw us off yesterday. He said, hey, if he starts to slide a little bit, will Sean Payton say, all right, Payton and Belichick have the ability. They have chips and equity. They can do whatever they want. There are other coaches and GMs that have to stay by the book.
Mm-hmm.
When you've won and won big, Ravens, Patriots, Saints, Chiefs, you can go to your owner and say, here's what we want to do. 99% of the time, the owner's going to be, you need to do what you want to do.
Yeah. You've already won it, so I guess I'll just trust that you can get it again.
And Sean Payton, again, chips and equity is so big in life. Of course, Belichick can do whatever he wants. The Ravens, the Chiefs, the 49ers, there's a few others that have the Seahawks, John Snyder, Pete Carroll. If they see something, they have the ability to move and not answer to anybody and do what they want to do. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans. He'll refinance your home, townhouse, or home or townhouse, or condo. Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans, 601-540-6791. Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans. Show is also brought to you by Mudbug Slinging Crawfish today. Enjoy a sack of crawfish from Mudbugs, 2 locations in Brandon, crawfish and shrimp. Also, powered by Superior Foundation for all your foundation repairs. Superior Foundation. Don't forget about Mosquito Joe. Jackson.mosquitojoe.com. Live Oaks Golf Club is open for the biz. Dancing Rabbit Golf Club is open for the biz. And we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to the show. All right.